Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott and we're finally, my friends, back to a new manga haul for the month of July, actually April, as it took a while. I know I'm 2 months behind, but it's important for me to read everything I have here, and I actually have over 50 volumes to show you of things that I read for that month. And again, it's very important that I can read as much as I can so that way I can tell you my actual thoughts, instead of just saying, actually, I just picked up Jujutsu Kaisen volume 25 and then I got my love story volume 14, now it's complete. That's okay, I mean, people do that, but I think the essence of here is not only being a manga collector, it's wanting to know people's thoughts on the things that they've read and just give you my overall impression. So with that said, I'd love to know in the comments below, what did you pick up this previous month, as it's fun to be able to discuss together in our community what other people are picking up. I read your comments and I have purchased things based off of your feedback. I know other people have done that as well. Even if they don't comment and saying, hey, I picked that up, it really means a lot to the community when you share your thoughts of what you're reading, what you're picking up, and it just makes it a lot more fun. And in this video, there is actually one series, unfortunate but not unfortunate, that I had to drop. It was just too much for me. It just felt extremely inappropriate and just not right. So because of that, I have one manga, you'll see through this whole haul of over 50 volumes, that I decided to cancel my pre-order for the second volume, and I will not be collecting this series. And so stay tuned, you'll find out which series I decided to not collect. With that said, let's go ahead and we'll start off with ongoing series from Viz Media, which is My Love Story in College, volume 14. This is now complete. That was a surprise. They're going to have another volume of that from My Love Story. And then we had Jujutsu Kaisen volume 25. Jujutsu Kaisen, I ended up pausing on the series. I'm just waiting for it now complete, as the series is over with, I think, 20 or 30 volumes. 30 volumes is complete. So I don't know too much on those two, but we then have Zephyr of the End, Vampire Reign volume 32, which I don't know as much as about. I got most of the other series super cheap. I think it's really, really, really slow. So I think after 33, it's going to be a long time before I get another one of those. So that's the main reason why I picked that up. But did I read? Yes, I read Call of the Night volume 19, which is pretty good. And there's only one more volume and it will be complete. And I have enjoyed the stay with Call of the Night. This vampire series is not quite, about trying to understand love, not quite action with vampires. And then what does it mean to actually fall in love, and is there a purpose with it? So high school antics-ish with some vampire elements are really good. I've enjoyed the journey with Call of the Night. And then we have One Punch Man volume 30. We're on the same arc. I feel like I'm harvesting every time, over and over again. I'm just ready for a new arc. And this one didn't really have some of the main character whatsoever in it, and he is just the funnest part of it and the most laugh out loud moments. This volume was almost action, bam, 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 action extraordinaire, where you're just reading fighting sequences. So it makes me a little on it. I've really enjoyed One Punch Man when we had the hilariousness to it, but it's getting to the point now where it's just battle, 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 almost like Kaiju number 8, where I'm like, man, can we get some more dialogue going on here? So after that, we had Sakamoto Days, volume 16, and still enjoying this assassin series with an assassin who tries to retire. And as you know, as an assassin, you can't never really go into retirement. So now he is in this, what's it called? I want to say not a museum, but an auction place where people can check out different, it is a museum where people can check out different assassin stuff, and he's trying to find this one character, which I know is extremely vague, but I'm still enjoying Sakamoto Days. And then another great, not quite sports, not quite romance series, but has some of the best artwork right now in his shown story, and that is Blue Box. I absolutely love this series whatsoever. I did a video just talking on lessons from Blue Box when it comes to just being rejected, but this is a phenomenal series. I'm still enjoying and want to know what's going to happen next with our characters, as it's cool seeing them now going to their next year of school and seeing the second years in high school where they're starting to just really adapt and grow and mature, and you can see the changes from the beginning to now, which is phenomenal. Great character growth. Then Komi Can't Communicate volume 33. I really enjoy this series. It's finished now, 37 volumes, which I'm a little sad. But you can tell we're nearing the end, as Komi's goal is to get 100 friends. She's a girl who struggles with communicating, and then has a friend that helps, that has a great emotional intelligence where he can tell where other people are at, and he tries to help her develop friends. So I've really enjoyed Komi. Still just such a feel-good, cozy, laugh-out-loud series. Next up I picked up is Volume 3 of Battle Royale. Now, in Battle Royale, the original was just announced from the Anime Con in LA, is going to go ahead and be reprinted from, I believe, YenPress. Now, this is a sequel story. Now, the first one, I actually had to stop reading because it was just too much for me. It was too heavy on the adult content. Now, this has a lot of violence, this one, but is not as heavy on the adult content, which I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate. You do have students trying to survive as they're being forced to kill each other and they're in these teens, but I think there's only 4 volumes out in Japan, maybe 5, so we're gonna be caught up really fast. And then for a monthly series, my guess it will be once a month, and it could be a long time before we go with Battle Royale. Next, I got Full Night Volume 4. I'm really enjoying this series. This volume really made you think of the trolley scenario where am I willing to sacrifice one person to save 3 others? Would you sacrifice your best friend to save 3 strangers? And the tension between, there's just no easy answer. So this is a planet where there is no more sun and people are being turned into plants to go ahead and provide oxygen. Very, very, very good. This is getting to be in my almost top 20 of all time. Even though we're only 4 volumes in, I'm really getting sucked in on Full Night, and I really almost want to do a piece just on the breakdown of society, because they do a really good job with the ends justify the means. It makes you it's asking just hard questions that don't have easy answers. Next up I picked up is $1 Trillion Game Volume 4. Definitely not for kids whatsoever. The parental discretion advised. This is a series as you're following 2 guys as almost like seeing them how they became a $1 trillion company. And just their scheming, their antics together, they're trying to manipulate their way into the market to be successful. It's a really kind of a fake it to your make it series. Definitely not for kids, but I am thoroughly enjoying seeing their antics and seeing them how they're trying to fake it to their make it to $1 trillion, and at what cost are they in for that money. So that's been good, and there's, I think, 8 volumes out in Japan, so we're going to be caught up pretty fast. Next is Asomnics After School. This is volume 9. There's 14 total. This is a high school antics with an astronomy club where you have the 2 main characters struggle to their insomnias where they just can't sleep, and they get, start kind of falling in love with each other, and just a very good slice of life series. I'm really excited to find out how this continues. I'm super fast to read Asomnics After School, but has some phenomenal artwork. I'm really enjoying that series. Then we have DRCL Midnight Children. This is volume 4. I do appreciate they are in hardcover. This is from the same author that gave us The Climber and Innocent. So I've been wanting to support them because I really do love the artwork, but I will say there are times with this series that I'm just completely lost and I'm not fully sure what I am reading. Now I've heard people say, well, haven't you read Dracula? And no, I have not read Dracula. To the point, I don't want to read Dracula. I just want to read the manga version of it to get me a sense of Dracula, and maybe the story is just really confusing. But this part of volume 4 is neat. It went more of a prequel, but I wasn't sure that I was going into a prequel at first, but you're seeing the past on how we get to a point that Dracula is where he is now, and so what is going on. Definitely not for kids whatsoever, just crazy things. I'm hoping for more clarity with volume 5, but I felt a little lost with that volume. And then I picked up last was JoJo Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean. This is volume 9, and man, I absolutely love this cover. This is now complete, which means that we're now going on to part 7, which is Steel Ball Run. Yes, finally. So phenomenal. JoJo Bizarre Adventures, only read 1, 2, and 3 so far. Shame on me, but man, I love this hardcover. I'm really excited to go ahead and continue. I will be starting part 7 as you don't need to read the other ones for that, so I'm excited to get that in my collection. So that's everything we picked up from Viz Media. Let's go ahead and now move on to ongoing or missing titles that I received from YenPress / the IZEPress line. First is Higurashi When They Cry. This is volume 4 of the new series. I did a review on Higurashi. It is a just gripping tale horror story, and you're seeing different perspectives with each of the different arcs. And so I'm just waiting for the last volume. There's supposed to be 5 on this, and I just want to read it all together. I really enjoyed Higurashi. Then we have Oshe no Ko Volume 9. It feels like it's taking forever. I feel like it's like every 3-4 months we're getting a new volume from YenPress, even though there's 16 volumes total and it's complete. I'm still enjoying this series. I heard that how people did not like the ending of it, so it might go downhill, but I'm still just at the edge of my seat trying to find out what's going to happen in the show business as you're following the main character who's there's been a murder. Gosh, I don't want to spoil. The first volume just had me hooked so much towards the end. So you're following this character as he's trying to find out who murdered ooh. And just the dynamics of showbiz and having to be in that industry. Next I picked up is Volume 3 of Go 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 Ghost. This is one of those things where YenPress sends me volumes to review, and I really enjoy the series so much. I continue to get the series. I think there's 6 total in this one, but this is about a girl, or is it a guy? No, it's a girl who, she ends up deciding just to end her life, and at the end of her life, she ends up being saved by this ghost who's kind of like this guardian, and now she is going to get her revenge on other people. So there's a lot of laugh out loud moments as she has grunge, this revenge on others, and she's just trying to go ahead, and the people who've done her wrong in her life, she's now getting back at them because her corporate life is a bit rough. So I'm enjoying that. And then another series, this was my number 1 when I got new series from YenPress a while ago. So number 2 I had to get, which is In Another World, My Sister Stole My Name. This one was read a little faster, which I was bummed that now I automatically want to get the third one. But this is about a girl whose her older sister went missing and ended up falling into an isekai world, and then she ends up going into that isekai world as well, and she finds out her sister has taken her name and has pretended to be her this whole time, and now she's having to act as if she's her sister, and just the dynamics and tensions with that. They both have special powers, trying to save the place. There's different princes, and then before they fell into this isekai world, there was a magic mirror where they could talk to one of the princes, and the sister, the younger one, was really close to this prince, but now because her sister went into that world, her sister's now with that prince and thinking is the other person. So a lot of dynamics and drama, but really enjoying that one. And then a series I just don't hear too many people talk about. This is one of my top unrated series of all time, and this is Death Mount Deathplay. This is volume 13. Parental discretion advised. Now it's just language and violence. First couple of volumes had some scenes that were very, very heavy on adult content, and then the author did away with that, and we haven't had any more of that. But I will say, it's almost like, reminds me of the show back in the day, Lost, where there's so many moments where you're just like, what the heck is going on? And this is a reverse isekai series of a necromancer who decides to leave his world to start over now in the human world, but he has these magical powers, and there's other people around that have these different powers, and then there's villains that have powers, villains that don't have powers, are just super strong, and you're just constantly wanting to peel more layers on the mask to find out what is going to happen next. I really enjoy the series. Again, not for kids whatsoever. And then one of my favorite, might be my number 1 JoJo series currently right now. It's definitely in the top 5. That is Honey Lemon Soda. Love finding out with our main girl here, Yuka, as she is with this boy with the honey lemon hair. She was bullied before, so she goes to a different high school and trying to restart all over again, seeing her life where she didn't have confidence in herself, and this boy is kind of helping with that. And then now she's kind of become her own independent person where she now gets to help him, and really good. I love Honey Lemon Soda. Then we got Boshi the Rock. Don't let the thin volume fool you whatsoever, as it is a 4-panel manga, so it actually has a lot of dialogue. And I will say, this series takes me a little longer to read, even though I'm laughing out loud. Because of 4 panels, you're reading down, and there's a ton of dialogue for Boshi the Rock. But kind of like Komi can't communicate, this is a girl that has so much social anxiety disorder and struggles to talk with people, but she is really good playing the guitar, and just doesn't, as long as she doesn't have to play in front of others. If she's filming by herself, she's fantastic. In front of others, does not go well, but man, really enjoying Boshi the Rock. Next up we got is the new edition of Tokyo Babylon from YenPress, and I do appreciate with these editions here, we get these lovely posters inside. Will I ever peel this poster out? Absolutely not. Tokyo Babylon is the prequel to X, which now I want to read even though it's on a permanent hiatus, because, wow, I've really enjoyed the series with the exorcisms, and there's sorcerer going on, and one person you think is a good guy might not be a good guy whatsoever. There's 7 volumes total. I'm thoroughly enjoying this shoujo series. Really incredible. I really like this throwback and have an opportunity to check this out, which makes me immediately want to get X after I get that 7 volume. Let's go ahead and now check out some from the IZEPress line. And I broke my rule for this one, is after I read the 2nd volume, I immediately went and grabbed the 3rd volume, which is not part of this haul. I purposely wanted to read everything that we have in this haul before I went and I started the next month's orders from May, but I did not do this with, or is it June? But I immediately went and I read it anyways, the 3rd one, because I got so sucked in. If you like solo leveling, you like the world after the fall, you like Tomb Raider King, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, this is going to be a really good one, as well as you're following these people who are trying to climb this tower. Everything's in color, but man, I'm really enjoying this story and seeing the level up or this, or Overgear. SS Class Rival Hunter, fantastic, thoroughly enjoying that series. And then we have the Business Proposal Volume 8. I think there's 10 total in this one. I got to Volume 3, started reading Volume 4. Then we got all this haul, which is, so you have this girl who got forced into her friend where she went on do a date on behalf of that person. And then the guy said, you know, I'm just tired of trying to just find the right one. I don't have time for that. I'm just going to marry you. Now she's having to marry her boss, which they don't know they work together. And you're just seeing their dynamics together. So I'm really enjoying Business Proposal from what I read. But we had to pause on that one. But speaking of fantastic series, oh my goodness, A Mission Reader's Viewpoint, Volume 6. I really do want to read the 7th volume. I just got it in the mail, but I'm waiting. We're waiting, taking a deep breath, but really, this is one of my favorite series right now, in my top 10 of all time. You know, where this character ended up reading how to survive the apocalypse, and then the apocalypse actually happens after he reads the last chapter of the book, and he has all this knowledge from beforehand as he's trying to survive, not for kids, but phenomenal story. Then we have a Tomb Raider King Volume 10. I think there's 11 or 12 and it's over. We're wrapping up Tomb Raider King, I believe, for this. The series has been finished. This scratches some of the same image so well, very overpowered. The only thing that annoys me with this is at least the main character, everything just always goes well for him in some way. How's he going to get out of it? And he's just extremely cocky, just very narcissistic, which is just driving me nuts a little bit. But it's a very good popcorn, just put your brain off to the side series and read as you're following this character who ends up having all this knowledge, goes into the past, and with that past knowledge is changing history to go ahead and make it where he's now on top. Okay, a series that took forever to get the 7th volume but was worth the wait is Villains Are Destined to Die Volume 7. And I already read that this late fall, I want to say October or maybe November, we're getting the next one, which is great. Villains Destined to Die, which does feel like we're getting closer to wrapping up here, is you have the main character where this girl gets falling into this video game where she is now playing the villain, and she's just trying to survive and get out of it as best as she can, and she has to fall in love with one of these characters that will most likely kill her. Very good twists and turns. This 7th volume is the best yet. Really enjoying Villains Are Destined to Die. Then we have The World After the Fall Volume 9, which turns the whole series on its head yet again. If you follow the series, it turns itself on its head once the main character in the first volume climbs to the tower of the final chapter, and then what happens at the end of that tower. And this just reset everything good in a really good way. So if, again, like Solo Leveling, you're going to want to read The World After the Fall. And then I got Volume 6 and Volume 7 of The Beginning After the End, which we now have an anime for from Turtle Me. Really enjoying the series. Reminds me of Musuke Tensei, but without the grossness to it. And so I'm really enjoying this series, seeing this main character who he was a king in another lifetime, and then he got so it's like an isekai world going into an isekai world. And in this world, he's just has these magical powers. There's tournaments. You're seeing hierarchies from the elves and the dwarves and humans, how they treat each other. Some people don't make it and some people die, and you're like, ooh! Very, very good beginning after end. I've been thoroughly enjoying this series as well. And then we have the villain as things are falling here. Oh, I did not like that sound. Nothing's bent. The Villainess Turns the Hourglass Volume 6. This is about a girl who ends up, right before she gets beheaded, she finds out that she's actually not the villainess, but her sister is, and her sister manipulated her into doing all these evil things. Now she somehow is able to turn back the clock right before her death, and now comes back to the past, and she's now manipulating things behind the scenes, from behind the scenes, to manipulate her sister, who is manipulating her to who's going to actually be the true villainess. Super great. And then last from the IZEPress line is Unholy Blood Volume 5, which I already feel like this series is wrapping up towards its conclusion. Has kind of revealed like the main hidden boss of this one here, but if you're looking for a good vampire series, this is one of the better ones I have read of just a good solid vampire series. As you're following this main character who is a pure blood vampire, and she's just really strong, and she's fighting all these people who are turning others into vampires, kind of like a zombie invasion, but instead of invasion of people becoming a vampire. So that is all we have for that section. Let's go ahead and now check out ongoing or missing titles I have from KODANSHA, which is Thunder Volume 3. Yes, this is Volume 3. So Thunder almost look like a 3 there, because it is. What's cool, the artwork here reminds me a lot like Gantz, the artwork, but it does not have heavy adult content, as this is rated for teens. It is a super fast read as you're following these characters who go into a different world of their own, a multiverse. In their world, they're looking normal, but in the normal world, they look like anime characters, and they're super strong. So when they flick their finger, it does massive damage to others. And in the multiverse world they're in, aliens have taken over the humans, and now you're seeing them come and save the day. Super fun, really enjoying Thunder 3. And then we have Blue Lock Volume 17. I want to say this did finally finish against the Japan versus the Blue Lock, and who's going to now represent Japan. Still loving the soccer series, phenomenal. And then a series that brings me to tears almost every time, the Medalist Volume 7. This is a ice skating series, but it's really a coming of age and just a believe in a person that no matter how hard you try, you might be able to succeed, as there's so much feel-good moments here. You just cannot help but root for the main character that's told her entire life, you're too old, you're never going to make it, you're not good enough, you're not talented, and yet you keep rooting for her anyways as she wants to achieve her dream. So I cried many times while reading The Medalist. And then we have Versus Volume 2. I think there's only 4 volumes out right now. Maybe we're working on a 5th in Japan. Versus, this is from the same person that gave us 1. This is a series of all these multiverses coming together, where some multiverses, the demons have taken over and people are dying because of the demons. Other ones, it's because of the giants have taken over, and other ones because of zombies. Another one because of dealing with machines have taken over. And so all the humans are struggling to survive, and now they've all come together and they're trying to pit each other's enemies against each other to try to make it so they survive. So now the Titans are fighting the machines and so on. So I'm not as funny, but it is entertaining seeing the battling. So I'm really enjoying Versus. And then last I got from KODANSHA, which is Initial D, Volume 5, which is a 2-in-1. I'm very grateful for them bringing us Initial D, the racing series here. Now this volume, I will say, is not for kids whatsoever, as there's some things in here got very heavy on the adult content, which I was not expecting. But for overall, it's a racing series. You're seeing a main character who's fallen in love with street racing, and just seeing him starting to really just come of age into street racing. So really enjoying the series. All right, now let's go ahead and check out smaller ongoing or missing titles from smaller publishers. Which we got is Defrag Volume 18. This is a otaku story as you're following these characters that are into video games and board games and just the anime otaku culture. So I have the other volumes that got super cheap. There's about 1 volume per year, so that's Defrag, which I don't hear too many people talk about or collect. And then we have the Pakura's Diaries Volume 13, which I have not read. Shame on me, I apologize. I do need to read that series. Then we have My Love Story from Yana-kun at level 999. I'm really enjoying this series so far, as you're following this girl who ends up playing a video game with her boyfriend. That boyfriend breaks up with her, and she still plays the game, and she ends up meeting this other guy who plays, and now they're dealing with the antics of them kind of liking each other and seeing them fall in love together. She's in college, he's on his last year of high school, which is just kind of different, I guess. But my story of love, Yana-kun, as they're both playing games. I played a lot of video games back in the day, so it gives me a lot of feel-good moments, so I'm enjoying that series a lot. Next I picked was Kimono-gen Volume 15. Now this series had a bit of a rough start, as it was kind of episodic, but then it got into this really great major arc that's kind of sucked him in all the way. And man, this had some of the best villains I've seen in a while, just for the characters. There are these people where it's, instead of it being humans, there are people that are tanuki that can turn into humans, and then you have foxes that can also turn into humans, and then there's ogres, and there's all the spiders and different people turning different things. Or sorry, they're not really humans, they're those different things instead. And I've thoroughly enjoyed this so far. Then I picked up something even better, not to knock the other one, Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, Volume 4. This is a bit of a slice of life series with this older salaryman who, man, just being able to get to the supermarket and meeting this one girl just makes his day. And then at the same time is with this other girl enjoying smoke in the back, which is definitely not healthy, and I don't recommend it, but is really great just seeing their interactions together and just life as things move on. And they even have some character progression and even acknowledging, hey, it's been quite a bit of time has passed. So enjoying it so far as you're slowly seeing them fall in love with each other. And then we picked up, this is going to be interesting one talking about, is Tokyo Revengers 29 through 31. This is now complete. So, is this still my top 10 of all time? No. But is it as bad as they say? I would say no. I thoroughly did enjoy the series, and it was, I would say it was a safe ending, which I don't know why for this series they do so many safe endings. I wish certain things happened instead, but I'm not going to go into it. But there was some revealing at the end that tied things together, and I thought it was interesting. We're like, huh, I don't know if I would have went that way, and it's not what I expected. I feel like maybe us as readers, it's kind of like the Deus Ex Machina, where all of a sudden they added this one thing, we're like, oh, that just changes everything. And does everything else really matter in the grand schemes now after all this? So with that, I still enjoyed the whole journey until the very end. It wasn't the worst ending, but Tokyo Revengers is still a solid story. I still thoroughly enjoy it. Is it in my top 10 anymore? No. Is it in my top 30? I would say at this point, yes. Okay, last on those things from smaller publishers, I got Trigun Volume 4. And with the 5th one just coming out, this will now be complete. I will say with Trigun, the first 3 I was really sucked in, and then the 4th one was good in the beginning, and then I have no idea what was going on. It just got very, very confusing, where for some reason I kind of like the original anime a little better than where the path is taken now, where I'm like, huh? Who? What? And even some of the scenes, even though I appreciate some of the art panels and things, with some of the scenes, it is hard to figure out what is going on in the midst of some of these battles here. So that was a bit of a bummer. I'm going to finish it all the way to see how Trigun ends, but I will say going to the fourth of these, I actually was more confused, and I actually struggled just to understand what was going on in the story. That just might be for me, my impression, not yours, but I really had to slow down to try to understand. And then I was like, well, these panels, not quite sure what's going on here, but yeah, that's Trigun. And so I could see some mixed thoughts on Trigun after reading this one. I was a bit confused. So that's all we have there on those. Let's go ahead and talk about new to me series, all that were new. First, let's talk about Drifters. This is the omnibus. This is very, very interesting dark fantasy series. Now, I think there's 7 volumes total out. This is from the same author that gave us Van Helsing. Very enjoyable seeing popular people and historical figures go into almost going from a real setting to now going into like an isekai with this world with there's dwarves and elves and humans and magic, and they're helping where all of a sudden there's airline pilots going in and shooting down dragons. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The only thing I didn't like is, I will say, some of the author notes himself were kind of on the perverted end, and just irked me a little bit. So I really enjoyed the story, but I did not like some of the perverted comments from the author himself, and sounded kind of judgmental. I don't know if that's a culture thing, but I was just a little bothered by the author's comments in between each of this omnibuses. But the story itself I thought was really solid. This was recommended to me, the next one, by Laura, who, man, her channel always has great things. Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent. This is a girl who ends up meeting this guy she thinks just a smarty person and just an overall nice person, and you find out he actually used to be a delinquent, and he doesn't want to be that way anymore. This other girl didn't really do well before in school. Now she's now in the next up for a different school. Middle school is very bad. Now she's at high school, and hoping this guy can help her out become a better person. So it's a decent first volume. I wasn't as sucked into it as I thought I would be. So I'll say the first volume was okay. I'm hoping the second will solidify it, as I've heard just nothing but good things. And the next series I actually did a review on, so if you want to click the eye on the right hand corner, you can see my thoughts on Pet Shop of Horrors. This is a collector edition, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then let's talk about a series I'm going to drop. This is Gunsmith Cats Omnibus, a parental discretion advised for sure. I will say the collector in me, the omnibus format, the larger trim, really enjoyed that. Love the better paper for this. What I don't like is some of the topics in this story. So Gunsmith Cats, you have these 2 girls. One is really more kind of explosions, and then They are really bounty hunters, even though they run an ammo shop, and you do learn some neat things about ammo, which I appreciate. And it's kind of like this buddy cop thing. It's a little episodic, but then it just goes into things that's just kind of gross. So you have one character here, her friend, who ends up, you know, for some reason has to go to a brothel so that she can go undercover, and that was just kind of gross. And then she's only 17. And then the other issues, you find out that she is very good at her brothel things because she had experience 4 years prior at a different place. And that just kind of sickened me just too much, the idea of just a 13-year-old in a brothel learning things, and then this being celebrated just felt very ill to me. And it's supposed to take place in Chicago, so I don't understand, but at times people say, well, Scott, you don't understand the cultural differences in Japan versus America. This wouldn't be as taken as much. But if you're going to do a setting in a story in Chicago, and these people live in Chicago, then this is horrific. This is horrifying and should not be okay ever. So I felt really good. I couldn't even finish it because of some of those sequences on there and just the pervertedness and just the sexual harassment going in on this. It was too much for me. So I canceled my pre-order for the second one. I will not be continuing Gunsmith Cat. Fortunately, I do like a lot of Dark Horse's stuff. I really do appreciate, like we said, Trigun from them. But man, this was a huge miss. Great. Going on, we have a couple more things for you. If you've seen my channel, I also did a video, click on the eye corner, about from YenPress, but we have the Daydream Hour, which is some great sketches and little comics here and there from the same author that gave us Delicious in the Dungeon. And then we got Kindergartner Wars. I talked about this. This is a pretty good assassin-ish story from a person protecting kindergartners. And then Witch's Life in Mongol, talking about the Mongolian Empire, has her conquering, and now she's forced to go over to the Mongols and then kind of live in this different area. I know a lot more people were more excited than I was. And then they gave the best, which is going on our shelf soon, is a Stardust Family phenomenal one-shot thing here. If you count it all together, I cried, I bawled. Very good, phenomenal. I highly recommend. So looking at everything here, that's everything I picked up for that past month. And I apologize. As you see, there is one I absolutely dropped. So hey, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you out there. We'll see you on the next one.